Do it. Happy Easter, boys.
Happy Easter.
Happy
Happy
Easter.
Easter. I got a question for the listeners right off the hand. Do y'all miss us? Because we're a full week behind now. Oh man.
It's always good to jump on here and chop it up with you guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How is everybody?
Everything's good.
That's good, man.
Doing good, man. Reporting live from my aunt's office. This is not my room.
I see you didn't have the niece's bedroom this go around?
No, 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 no. It was a little too pink in there.
Oh my god. Fetty, what time is it over there?
It's 10 p.m.
See, that's normally
man.
we normally record around that time, our time. So we're a little bit off kilter today. It is 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. our time. So if we normally did video, this would be a little off because there would be no daylight back here. It's always dark and late when we're recording.
Yeah, always.
So-
I'm still trying to adjust to my time zone
Yeah.
because Arizona apparently doesn't do daylight savings. So instead of being 2 hours behind everything in Savannah, trying to FaceTime the kids and everything while I was gone, I was 3 hours behind. And when I came here, I cannot adjust. Usually, like if I go on a deployment and come back, the next day I'm good. For whatever reason, I am not.
They don't do daylight savings in Arizona?
They don't honor it. No.
That's weird. I feel like that would throw everything off.
Oh, it was bad. Trying to get people to talk about stuff that was job related back in Savannah at the airfield versus where I was in Arizona, it was a nightmare.
I got you.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't know that either. So shout out to Zach one time. Zach's kind of the architect of this whole idea here. When we had him on for the previous episode, what was it, 80 or 81? We had you on.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we were talking about getting him on for 88, and he was like, "Yeah, man." He said, "We got to see if we can bring K-Fed in here. You know, just the party of the 88s in the house."
Yeah, that's full fun of number.
I'm close. I'm number 87. I'm just one
Yeah,
off.
I'm 13. I'm way down there, way down there. So, I guess because we're a little bit on a time constraint this afternoon, unfortunately. Center 50, everybody that listens here knows that I like to get long-winded sometimes, but I guess just to kind of condense everything down and keep it within a reasonable time frame. Since we have both of you on, we're fresh off of the off season. Fedorov, you're playing with a new team this year. Zach, you got a handful of new people in your squad. We talked about that last episode with you. So I guess I was just going to kind of touch on, how did you guys feel coming out of the off season? How did it feel for the first event? I guess Fedorov, if you don't mind, we'll start with you, man, because you're fresh off of a how long was it with Heat? 9, 10 years?
Well, it's kind of back and forth because we're playing a couple of years with Heat after we left to Archaeos.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So we're on this project for like 2 or 3 years, and after we come back to Heat again. So I would say nearby 12 years, something like that.
Yeah, that's a long stint to be with the organization. I guess we don't have to get into the details on the how and why the departure was made from Heat, but how did you feel coming into the Tauntauns and then moving on from that? How did you think the first event went for you guys?
Well, the first of all, it's just we talk about two different mentalities. It's European paintball and USA, which is way different. And what I know exactly, then American paintball is much stronger than European.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I kind of joined the Tauntauns also, because I know this is a brand in Europe. They won so many tournaments, but at the same time, they have to break it down with something inside and bring something into the US.
Right.
So they have to go through all those things. And I know that will be not easy, no matter how practice goes, or we all have to learn something new.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you have something new, you're excited for that, and you're going through all those nightmare or hard parts together.
Yeah.
So I kind of looking for this project for long terms.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, and that shows for you, in my opinion, you know, you were with the Legion for several years, and then
That was my basic core whenever I
yeah,
started with
and then Heat for several years, and then you mentioned Art Chaos, and then you know now Tauntaun. So it's not like we're seeing you bounce around from team to team to team, you know, every season or two. So I'm personally excited to see what you do with the Tauntauns. You know, I feel like you and Axel Gaudin are a nasty 1-2 punch. You know what I mean? And there's just a lot of talent on that team. So I guess for both of you going into the first event with a fresh set of people, how did it feel? You know, either one of y'all can take it and trade off. It, you know, however y'all want to do it.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what exactly you mean about, but that's like exciting thing about it. As I'm saying, we have to know, you know, how the body language works for. We have to know each other real well.
Right.
So without it, we can do things. So as I'm not remember who's saying that, but we have some little issue with language because it's French people, English, and like I
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
can do it back and forth. So it's a tough part also because sometimes they have conversation which is on French, so I have to get into it. But overall, me and Axel, I feel like we have understanding pretty well. So we just have to find out those small things and make adjustments for the next ones.
Right. What about you, Zach?
Um, that's like a whole book I can open on, you know, the Tampa recap, but I definitely agree with what he was saying about guys, you know, learning to play off of each other. And I mentioned this in the last podcast. I mean, regardless of what team it is or, you know, what organization you're a part of, when you add new guys to a roster, there definitely is a learning curve, you know. It's not like basketball to where, you know, you can plug in Kobe Bryant or somebody and, you know, they're bound to go off right off the bat because, you know, like those plays are based around getting somebody the ball and then them making the shot. And it's
Yeah.
like, you know, the teammates can set picks and create space for that player to, you know, make those moves and perform like that. But paintball is a lot different. And I think, you know, with the psychology behind it, what we've seen over the past 3 years, you know, it's really turning into so much more of a unit
Mm.
collaboration, kind of like how it was like back in the 10-man days, you know what I mean, and the 7-man days, where you had more guys and they got to play together a lot more. Back then, I feel like a lot of teams were based around where the core of the team was centered from, and now
Right.
it's like a lot of these teams are just littered with dudes from all over the place, you know,
Yeah.
and like I said, I mean, we kind of touched on this in the last pod, and you know, a lot of people have been talking about this across other paintball podcasts. Is, you know, look at teams like PB Fit. You know, they play together, fucking 4 or 5 days a week or
Right.
whatever it is. You know, and it's that chemistry that needs to be built. It's, you know, and everybody's different. Every team's different. You know, some teams can get lucky and have a guy that just one single player that they can plug in and
Mm-hmm.
then they immediately have success, or you know, in Federov's situation, you know, there's several guys and then add a language barrier on top of it. Like that is a lot of mental computing power going
I
on
believe
the
it.
Oh
field
yeah.
with codes and switches, and you know, if you're naming the gaps different colors or whatever it may be, you know what I mean,
Yep.
that does take time. And you know, there's not a definitive time on it, but it's a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work that, you know, I don't think a lot of people understand at the professional level, you know, what we do and how we dissect the game and make game plans for it and also practice, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
you
can.
go ahead,
Oh,
Daniel.
sorry, PJ.
No, you go
I just
ahead.
wanted to add. I could understand on my side. Fedorov, if you don't know by what we had at the beginning of the episode, I'm active duty military. I'm in the army, and we have people from across the world that comes in with language barriers and everything. We have to do battle drills and stuff like that, and so I could wholeheartedly understand the like language barriers and culture shocks and stuff like that. And it can be overwhelming, and then like everything for the army side is like a large spectrum of things that can be broken down, but with paintball I feel it's so minute and way more technical because the same our battle drills never change. The layouts for tournaments change every event, so you have to make those fine adjustments and so on and so forth. So I can see where that can be a hardcore challenge, and I think that's a pretty good fit for you with your knowledge and as long as you've been playing and stuff. I think that's awesome for the Tauntauns.
Yeah, I mean they have a lot of new talented players like Hugo. He's super young. He's exciting, super fun person that I ever met. He's like a character in our team.
Yeah.
But also Axel brother Briz,
Mm.
he needs to learn a lot of things too. So it's you know, Tauntauns is a big name with a huge history, but at the same time we have kind of new guys and we are new team for NXL, which
Right.
is built like way up. Like we have to make more hard work than anybody else because we have to kind of chasing right now all those teams. It's not like we have I mean big names coming together and instantly start winning. No, it doesn't work that way like Zach said. So
Yeah.
and in that case we have to work a lot and we have to start uh, understand the game and style what we want to throw on the field.
Right.
Right.
I
Yeah,
love watching the Tauntauns play, man. Especially last year when they came in that Dynasty Tauntauns match. That was pretty legit.
Yeah,
It
that was
pretty
nice.
fun to watch.
yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a learning curve. I'm sure y'all know it's going to be a learning curve. You know, you played on Houston Heat for so long. You know, if you're playing behind Ronnie, you know, if Ronnie twitches one way, you know, he wants to go. You know what I mean? So, you know, a little bit of time with the team, I'm sure you know you guys will mesh real fast, and Tauntauns are going to be a force to be reckoned with. I feel like. Shifting gears just a little bit. Zach, y'all dropped push going to JT right here before the first of the event. And I want to talk about that a little bit. And then for Fedorov, we'll talk about the JT thing, but Fedorov, you shot Lux forever, and then now you're shooting Planet Eclipse. So I just kind of wanted to gauge your guys' interest on like gear changes, you know, coming into 25, because Zach, you've been wearing push for several years now. So we can start with the JT thing and then go to Fedorov.
Yeah, it was cool how it came together. I wasn't actually a part of the whole real brand side and making the decision. That was more of a Travis move, but it made sense for our business model too, you know, because we like to make stuff super custy and very exclusive to where, you know, other brands can't make them. Travis is a wizard with his product development, so we thought that was a better fit moving forward. And yeah, I mean, Push is still going to be around. They did something with somebody. I forgot who. Wasn't it? Damage last World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, Damage is wearing what, the HK?
The HK bottoms on the
Like
JT frames.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. So me personally, I don't know exactly what Push's future looks like or what they plan on doing, but yeah, we're super happy to do that gear change, and you know, got a lot of things up our sleeve, as I'm sure you guys can imagine.
Oh yeah, skull bottoms coming soon.
I'm not saying shit.
Yeah. I can't say nothing.
No, they became like really popular in the past like couple of weeks or whatever. You saw on Dresser with PB Retro, he's selling the Empire bottoms. They're not
Yep.
the JT ones, like
Yep.
the E-Flex ones.
Right.
I guess those are coming back, and there's a couple guys that are like, oh, are these the infamous ones? But
Yeah.
gotta wait.
Yeah. World Cup. You heard it here. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing official.
No, I'm excited for it. And you know, there was a discussion. I'm in the PTG Discord quite regularly, and they have a complete subsection for just flex. It's called Flex Gang. You know, for flex heads, I guess. And
Nice.
there was a discussion of, you know, oh, well, this is the first time Infamous has ever had flexes and this, that, and other. And well, I was driving and reading it. Well, I was writing and reading it, but you know, I'm sitting there. I just drew a blank. I completely drew a blank from the E-Flex, and I was like, damn, maybe they are right, because they went from profilers to events and then to push, and I had a complete mind fuck on the whole E-Flex and the skull bottoms and all that. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. They've never had flexes before. and somebody corrected me very quickly, and I was like, yeah, I feel like an idiot now.
That's what you get.
Yeah, I don't need to sit here and talk off the goggle like everybody wears it. You know what I mean? You can
Oh yeah,
breathe, you can hear. They're good goggles. I'm happy.
yeah. So Fedorov, talking about your situation, I mean, you shot Lux with Heat, Art Chaos, Heat again. It's been a Lux in your hand forever. So how does it feel? You know, Planet Eclipse seems to be a I guess what you would call a casual player favorite, like myself. You know, I don't play a whole lot of tournaments. You get on the paintball forums and everybody's PE this, PE that. So I mean, for me, I like all guns. You know, they send a ball down the field at 290 feet a second at 10 balls. Yeah, I mean 290, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm having a stroke right now. But for me, they all shoot about the same once you get to a nicer one. So I guess is it a major difference for you going from Lux to Planet Eclipse? Is the shot different, or what's your opinion on that?
Well, it's definitely different for sure. Because, like I said, I played with Shocker Lux forever. So whenever I have this gun at Planet Access, I know CS3, right?
Yeah.
That's what we have. So I was like, the lane is different. So at the first couple practices, I was like, damn, it's so weird. I have to learn the angle and things. It just whenever you shoot it straight, it's like curved at the end. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I have to learn different shots.
Yeah.
So, but overall, for me, as many years we're playing, we have to make those adjustments no matter what. It's a gun or like your equipment or angles on the field. It doesn't matter. We're still playing a pro level,
Yeah.
so we have to make this. I mean, adjustments right away. So
Right.
in
Yeah,
that
Matt.
case, I don't mind. So I just really like one thing that if you have quality sponsorship, you have to be appreciated
Yeah.
because you can make cheap stuff, but it doesn't matter. Like, but if you have quality, it's like same thing in like race cars or whatever. If you have a cheap car or like cheap tires, you're not gonna go anywhere.
Right.
The same thing here. So
Right.
if you have a real good gun, you have good equipment. So you just have to be appreciated and just go through all the things together.
Yeah, and that's a great comparison about like buying cheap tires for a race car. You know, you don't really, for me, I don't really think of it in that manner. I do now. That just opens up a new point of perspective. But if you're trying to win a Grand Prix or something like that, or drift competition, or however race you run, if you're just putting together the cheapest setup you can, then whoever is coming in with the most quality it probably more than likely has the upper hand unless you're just that much more skilled, and you can make chicken
Right.
salad out of chicken shit. So, I was trying to pull the layout up because I had some questions written down about it, but I cannot find this picture. So, a lot of times the NXL, Trojan will drop a layout, and it's the same thing every time. The general consensus on the internet is, oh, that's so shitty. What is that? What are they doing? And then the layout drops and the event comes and everybody's, oh, that was a fun layout. Oh, I really enjoy this. I mean, am I the only one that sees that? I mean, that's what.
I'm not on the internet. It's kind of like you throw the layout in front of me, and I'm gonna learn it.
I mean,
Yeah.
every time the
I
layout.
could only imagine though.
The layout drops and
Yeah.
it's just all like, oh, that is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. What is that? And then the event comes and goes and it's like, well, that was actually pretty nice. But I'm trying to
No
pull it
matter
up
what
now.
you do, the people always bitching about something. So
Oh,
Always.
we've been
Yeah.
saying that here forever.
Yeah.
Dude, all paintball players
Paintball
do is
players
complain.
are
it's good or
Easy.
bad. You have those people who'll be bitching. So
Yeah.
you don't have to don't mind about it.
Yeah.
I think the
I-
general consensus behind it is that Trojan or whoever's making the layouts, they want it. They want it to be more in your face paintball, like more trades, more creative moves, as opposed to like the back 5 spots can cross it up and
Yeah.
really slow the game down. As everybody probably listening to this like knows of the whole ESPN thing and how we're trying to make this big push, and I think it's a big responsibility for chosen to create layouts that cause a little bit of confusion and open up the windows for, creative play. And that's what I mean by confusion. And also, like big spots within the 50s to where, you get rewarded if you do make it there. You saw in the last layout, there were two, like the gigantic bricks in the 50 to where you kind of hang out there for a minute, up until you get bounce shotted out of there. But, if you make it there alive, there's 10 different spots that you can look out of that specific spot from and cause a lot of damage, and to go even further into that, it's like if the other team sees you there and everybody changes their focus there, but well, then you have these 4 15-foot things in the middle of the field to where then somebody could split a seam, run through and shoot 5 guys because they're all looking at the snake guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I think it's really cool, but I mean, I've been playing the game for a minute, so whatever kind of gets thrown in front of me, you got to be a master adapter. You know what I mean? Kind of like what Fed was saying about like the guns and whatnot. Like we've been around for long enough to kind of just take it whether we agree with the layout or not.
Right. I wish that I had the opportunity to pop a clip in here real quick because that's so funny. Daniel? Did you see the clip of Zach getting caught in practice? He pops his head up out the snake. He's like, "Oh shit, Dallas!" and the caption was like trying to learn the calls on the new layout.
Oh man,
I was cracking up because
that first day is always rough. It's funny to watch.
That would be my reaction though if you just pop up and I know what it's called but I can't call it. I'm like, it's the oh shit, that would be me in the middle of the game.
Well, once I remembered it, I started to scream like a little bitch because I was like, "Oh, I figured it out! I'm excited now! Hey, go get him!"
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, we had shot, I think, like 2 off the break. So, like, that guy being there, if our other center guy went and traded with him, kind of would have been game over. But, yeah.
That shit was so funny. You just see he just pops out and sees this guy chilling. Oh shit! Yeah, but I'm looking at the layout now, and I brought this up because just like I said earlier, we always us as fans always complain about it, and lower divisional players. But for me, I've always been so stuck on like traditional ladder snake, like old PSP, layouts. You have your traditional line of Doritos, you have your traditional ladder snake, and then you just kind of have some cans and temples and stuff in the center. But I don't think this one was too off kiltered. Sometimes you have these layouts that have like a snake on each side, or you have like a double snake on one side, or whatever. Is there something that either of you prefer? Like, would you rather keep it kind of more traditional, or do you like the unorthodox, like snake on each side, or like a snake consistent of Doritos? Does that make sense?
Like the 24 season and this one.
Yeah,
so
like
far?
I'm just wondering, like, I know you guys have to play whatever, you know what I mean? Like whatever they drop, you guys have to learn it, right? But is there anything that you prefer? Like when you see a layout, is there something you're like, oh shit, this is gonna be a problem, or like, oh, I can't wait to feast on this?
Go ahead, Fed.
I mean, from my side, I just really doesn't like big bunkers because I don't think this is like insane.
Yeah.
Because they're big and sometimes people get like super crazy with the full speed they can see things.
Right.
And I was like really kind of every single time that somebody tried to bunker someone, it was like, oh my god, sometimes it's so quick to barely you can torch them with a gun. And I was like,
yeah,
doesn't make sense of those breaks.
Yeah.
No, I mean, for my opinion, no. You can make maybe 1 or 2, but like maybe half of the size, but not like full thing. Then like covers everything.
Me and Daniel,
because we have like really dynamic.
Gone, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I just afraid then somebody like tore someone like real bad because we already seen a couple of times. Like first time ever those bricks come up, like I think it was Risar get like torched him. Yeah. Torched him in the gag. I was like, oh my gosh, this is not safe at all. And they put those little straps, which doesn't make sense.
They don't do
and
that.
I was like, what? This is like, if you want to do is make a full face helmet like motorcycle with those things. I mean, it's just only one thing. Right. But it's just only one thing I'm really afraid, and those bricks are not safe for my opinion.
Yeah, and Daniel and I just had that conversation night before last about the World Cup when Oliver returned, 2 years ago, and him and Chad Bashir ran into each other right at the 50.
Yeah.
Because we got into
Oh,
the
you're right,
conversation.
yeah.
We got into the topic of just like sportsmanship. How there was a clip, a divisional clip where these two people basically stabbed each other, and they were just like, "Hey, are you good?" And I told Daniel, I was like, "Yeah, that reminds me of when Oliver and Chad ran into each other, and they checked on each other, and then they exited the field." And I love to see those things, but Fedorov, that's a great point, and I think there's a lot more pros that side with you than don't.
Yeah, but I mean, if you see any other sport, the people try to make like more safety things.
Right.
But in our sport, it seems like no, fuck it, whatever, do whatever. So they're gonna play, they're gonna learn. I mean, I agree. There's sometimes market you have to change field. I mean, any like whoever build the field, they have to bring something new so people start buying.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to think about safety mode.
Right.
But
Yeah.
in our side right now, bricks doesn't make safety. That's for my opinion. Like I said.
Yeah, if you start making it super unsafe, you're not going to get sales anyway because nobody's going to take that risk.
Yeah, but I mean, if the field dictates you to play on this layout, the people still gonna buy all the fields.
Yeah.
They have to buy it because if you didn't buy, people don't go practice with on your field.
Right.
So it's like,
Yeah, you never really know of that until like after the fact when people have been playing on it for a week or whatever, and you're like, oh, like this may not be a good idea. And then if it happens once, it's like, oh yeah, like that would happen again. But
Yeah.
then, if you really think about it, like what Fed's, describing, I honestly, I've never even thought about it like that. But then again, you could go down the rabbit hole of how exciting are we trying to make paintball, in the off season, like everybody was talking about fights and things like that. But yes, I get it. Like running into somebody and the goggles flying off or getting shot in the eye would be the worst thing ever. But are we really even thinking about that, or are we just trying to make the game? I don't know the answer. I'm just talking out loud. But
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
So
mean, you have to count everything. It's not just one way. Like somebody said
there's
something.
no way.
You have to make all those things, all the opinions, and bring it together and see what's good or not. So not just somebody said, "Oh, we need to build those big bunkers or whatever," or we have to take them off, or we have to do something different.
Yeah.
So we just have to bring every opinion then from the commissioners.
Right.
Yeah,
if they
I'd really
want.
love, and this could be a whole nother thing too. Like, I'd really love a players commission, or one player from each team be like the spokesperson, and them kind of have like somewhat of input, whether it's layouts or locations or whatever, just like open the book to that,
Yeah.
because we are the guys that have been in this for decades, and maybe have some outside relationships on how to bring money in, or how to make better decisions. But it's kind of always been behind a firewall, and within the hands of a few that we've had to adapt to. But if we're gonna try to make this super super serious, and continue to try to build this snowball that we have, like, maybe I think that would be a good idea.
No, and I agree 1,000%. I've heard that Marcelo tried to kickstart something like that a couple years ago, kind of not maybe something
Really?
similar to like a players union in a way.
Mhm.
And from what I've gathered, I'm pretty sure he's talked about it publicly. I'm sure I heard it instead of read it, but I didn't
But
think
every sport has it.
right. Yeah, I didn't think that. If I remember correctly, don't forgive me if I misspeak here, but I don't think it caught a lot of traction when he tried to do it. This is several years ago, from what I understand. Come in.
Yeah, I
And,
didn't even know about it.
Yeah. So, but it seems to be what you got, buddy. It seems to be that you got an egg. Say hi to everybody.
Hi.
This is my son
What's up,
Jacob.
dude?
Everybody. What you got here? A car? Oh my
I'll tell you what
God.
did work. When
Okay.
the NXL tried to change the league names and the internet went full troll and savage, and the NXL was like, "Nah, dog, we ain't changing anything." Like maybe y'all should do that a little more.
Yeah.
Because I saw more pros
Sorry.
talking like shit against it essentially rather than like divisional and everything. Because the pros are like, "What the hell are you doing?" And then
Yeah.
it's like, "Nah, man, that was April Fool's joke. We're just kidding. We're not going to change it. It's going to stay the same."
Yeah. Well,
I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about now.
the divisional name change, but it seems like that there's not a lot of All right, go get your mama. It seems like that the league doesn't get a whole lot of input from the players or the teams in general. And for me, you know, like you guys in particular, y'all are the customers. You know, you for the most part pay to play the league. You know what I mean? So for me, like you see these format changes being brought up, and this rule change and that rule change, and then like Daniel brought up the divisional name change out of nowhere. That, you know, that was record time getting changed back. You know, it was so it was so terrible they changed it back in an hour. But
Yeah.
it just seems like it's kind of sometimes from the outside looking in, because I'm not involved in this organization, right? I'm just a fan, right? So I'm not trying to speak too big for my pants here, but it just seems like they try to make these calls and change these rules, and then all of a sudden it's all right. Well, you either deal with it or you just don't play. For me, I would like to see more input, like from the teams. You know, it seems like Jimmy Hickey from Uprising, he has a lot of good points. If you're in the PTG, he's constantly just giving just ideas for the league. You know what I mean? Like, hey, maybe we should implement this. Maybe we should do that. This dude is on another level today.
Even if, like, before we get into the whole like players union and us thinking we're consultants and all of that stuff, like, I mean, maybe just like create one and let it naturally, like, organically build on its own. You know,
Yeah.
like a lot of the times when they do create like a new rule or something like that, it's not thoroughly explained, and it's got to be explained by a third teammate coming down the ladder, or like a coach who maybe
Right.
not explains it the correct way. You know, if you had that sort of union, like maybe we can have, I don't know, the discussion about overshooting and things like that. Like that was a huge topic after World Cup and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. You know, I didn't know they took away overshooting penalties and things like that. Like, you know, like those type of situations. I can only see good things coming from it, but then at the same time, it's like, you know, that will take bandwidth, that will take somebody like actually creating it. You know, Tom Cole is then going to have to add another thing to his list of, you know, listening to more people give him advice. But like I said in the beginning, you know, a lot of these hundreds of players that have been pro for decades now, you know, I think if they have somewhat of a slight voice, or came in with like an organized manner, you know, maybe we could help him do things more efficiently, or, you know, give better advice, or, you know, maybe just open that dialogue of, oh, hey, like I know this 100 millionaire guy over here, you know what I mean? Like we're
Exactly.
starting to sort of see that with, like, you know, Bill Zerian coming into the sport and
Mhm.
all that stuff, which is great. But it's like, okay, now how do we optimize that? How do we scale that if that's like actually his intent or plan or whatever? But, you know, if there's not a door open or like any kind of dialogue, you know, what are we going to do? Chase him down at the event when he's all stressed out and he
Right.
doesn't want to talk about shit?
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think if that door is open even just a little bit, man, I think that would do the league like a bunch of good, because especially like you guys are the breadwinners, like, but without the pros, like there's really like, in my opinion, there's really no NXL, because I know about maybe 4 or 5 teams. Yeah, man, we go to play, but we mainly go to watch the pros. Like we go have our fun, but we mainly go watch the pros. We want to see our favorite player because that's their investment. This is their sport, this is their desire, so on and so forth. So they're like, everybody's paying money to go stay at hotels. Everybody's paying money for like team outings and stuff like that. So you rack in paint costs, entry costs, vendor costs. Like you would think that the door would be open just a little bit more on y'all's side. Like I don't think the divisional should have. This is gonna probably spark some controversy from some of our listeners, but I don't think the
Fuck it.
divisional side. Yeah, fuck them. I don't think the divisional side should have as much say as you guys do. You know what I mean? Because like I said, y'all are at the top of the level, and like Fedorov was saying, like certain things are safe, certain things are not. I think that's something that needs to be brought up more. Um, and then on top of, let's say, like you said, I know this third party that's interested in sponsoring this or providing for this, and this will expand the league to this. As an outsider looking in, I think like their window of opportunity is like so minute and minuscule, because they're just
Exactly. Yeah.
it seems stingy to me. Like I know NXL is a business at the end of the day, but I don't think that it's open up enough for like to you guys to help it grow. Because it ain't like, hey, I gave you this idea, I want $40,000 on top of that. Like, we're just like, hey, we're just trying to make it better. You want
Yeah.
this, we're gonna help you with that, so on and so forth. And it kind of seems that like it's like alumni. There's only a small circle of people that are making some of these decisions, man. And me personally, I don't think that's good for the sport.
Well,
Because
even
some
if
of
we did do the, pro players union and stuff like that, like we're so in touch with the game. Like I was describing, like, you got guys like Ronnie Dizon who has a vlog and stuff like that, and he's got a lot of people that he talks to in the league. Like he talks to a ton of semi-pro guys all the way down to, D5 and 5-man teams, like we hear a lot of the shit coming up,
right,
so it's not only delegated towards the professional players, you know what I mean? I think it could be a healthy thing and a productive thing for, just paintball in general. It's not just to say for the pros.
Right.
yeah. I wasn't trying to say it was exclusive just for the pros. But like, I think y'all should have more say than what y'all do
Yeah.
now. You know what I mean? That's the more that I was trying to get with.
Fedorov,
Well,
you got any kind of opinion?
Huh?
You got any opinions on it? I didn't mean to cut you off, Zach.
Oh, I mean, I was listening to you guys, but I mean, the pro league right now is like promotion for any other sport. Like you said, whenever sport you can take, you can see all the top level like MotoGP, Formula One, or whatever. But below that, you can see all the divisions. But no matter what, the top division is promotion.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, you're right. What you're saying about the pro league, so they might have brought those one player or whatever like guy from each team and try to figure out maybe some other stuff, maybe some different opinions, bring it together and see what's helpful, what's not. And also, if you have any idea before you bring it into the event and do official rule with that thing, you have to test this mode
Right.
because without
Yeah,
trying, you don't know it's work or not. So we'll never know, like whatever Oliver did with one on one. Well, I mean that. So they start doing with B short. So it's kind of work now. Oliver like growing, try to build more and more.
Yep.
But before that, they tried, right?
Mhm.
So that was demo mode. So in that case, I was thinking whenever you bring all those professional guys in one unit and start like open conversation with them, they might have different opinion and you might catch something and bring it into the league.
Right.
So I mean everything whatever you're saying kind of agree with that thing, but we'll see. Big guys who have money they control it, so we'll see.
yeah. Money rules the world, man. That my wife
uh,
said that in El Paso one
it's
time when I was
always
stationed there. She said the greed rules the world because we got hit with like a $50 parking garage fee when like we were going down to the local courthouse and there was a Wells Fargo bank beside it and the parking garage was literally split inside the garage, but there's no signs that say if you go this side it's the courthouse, if you go this side it's the bank. And we went on the bank side. They're like, yeah, it's $50 to park. We're like, $50? Like $50 to park. And then like my wife went off the deep end and she was like, yep, here you go. Here's your $50. Greed rules the world. Bye bye. And I was like, that's actually true.
Yeah.
Greed does rule the world.
Yeah.
naked women's and the money. Two things can sell everything.
Amen, man. That is the
Oh my
truth.
God, that is the nail on the head for sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
for real.
So our friend Mark Paris was telling us this was last year, maybe even a year before. Me and Daniel have a group chat with a couple of friends of ours that we've played with back in like 2005 and stuff. And he's got a friend or a point of contact. I don't know exactly how close they are, but he made a comment that he was trying to. He's some kind of league promoter for maybe a big basketball league. I don't remember which sport it is, but it's like a general sport like baseball, basketball, football. I don't remember exactly which one. But our friend was showing this guy professional NXL matches, and the one, he was like, what do you think that they should be doing different? What do you see here that, or that you're not seeing at your events? And, one of the biggest things that he made a comment on was like, he was watching the Go Sports cast. He was like, there's literally like no outside, sponsors or mentions of anything. He said everything that's being shown, this was before like the Pate Smith Law bunkers and Hertz bunker and stuff. So this was 2 years ago. But he's like, everything that I'm seeing is just completely paintball related. He was like, you guys need to get some outside money, get some, big brand banners on the field, and you need to get some big brand advertisement on your webcast, and he was making a comment how everything is just very
Like in-house.
in-house, it's just all NXL and the brands that surround NXL. So
Yeah, but at the same time, if you can watch our sport, it's difficult to watch.
it's very difficult.
Random people who come into the event, there was like something going on, somebody yelling, a lot of shots going on. They coming up, then they don't understand what's going on. I was like, all right, let's go home.
Yeah.
At the same time, whenever you go any basketball sport or like tennis or whatever, you can see the people are casual. They come in there not just watching a game. They come in there just for emotions,
Yeah.
good vibes or everything. In our sport, no, everything dusty and it's like kind of dirty sport.
Right.
Maybe I mean it's hard to change because it is what it is. But the biggest thing is it's hard to watch.
Yeah. I've
It's
read.
like 100 bolts in the air per second.
Yeah. I've
All
read
you can
somewhere.
see was the blood.
It's just madness. Somebody compared it. They said that I forget where I saw this, but they said we need to stop comparing to things like NFL and NBA and things like that, and compare it more to like their comparison was motocross, like enduro motocross. Now for me, I've been around paintball so much, I know for all of us, we know what we're looking for when we're sitting down watching the game. For a casual viewer, Fedorov, just like you said, it's mayhem. It's hard to follow as a new person. So, like for me, if I'm watching motocross and I have a favorite rider, I can just pick their number out of the bunch and I can follow them around the track, visually. But that was the comparison that they made. And I don't think it's a bad comparison. I just hope that moving forward, we don't change the framework of what we have as a sport, I understand we need to grow the sport, but I don't think that we should grow it to a point to where we change it so much that, it's completely different. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Don't change it to the point where it's not enjoyable for the spectators or the players.
Yeah.
Like that one mode that had like the buzzer or the point button in the center 50 of the snake or something like that. I was like, that's kind of weird. I didn't like that. I'm glad that got nixed.
Well, they were trying to like add more chaos to the game, but for me, and you guys actually played it, or or know people that do personally, I just feel like you overcomplicated what you already have by adding 2 more buzzers.
Exactly. Yeah, I've heard Marcella talk about this a couple times, and I have my own opinions on it and whatnot. Like, I think we have something that we need to stop comparing to a lot of other sports. Yeah, we can make references like motocross or F1 where you can switch cameras and stuff like that. Like, there's a reason why Fedorov has been playing as long as he has. There's a reason why I've been in the game for as long as I have, and all the sacrifices that all these players across all these divisions make in order to play the sport. People don't understand it until they go and actually play.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think the first steps of growing the sport is the way that it's watched. You guys make good points about how it is hard to watch. You throw the webcast on and there's thousands of paintballs flying through the air, and we try to do little minor things by making the shell color mandatory so it's easier to show up on cameras, but then we're not placing the cameras in the specific spots to where you can see them.
Yeah. Made an unnecessary change.
And I don't think there's so many different ways this could go, but I don't think that it would cost a lot of money to have a barrel camera on every single player. I personally,
Oh boy. Oh boy. I have this already. Go ahead. I'll talk later. Go ahead, Zach.
So with post-production, what you're saying about motocross and these sports like F1 that really make it intriguing, you can tune into that player, you can understand what that player is going through, you can understand why that player is looking this way or that way, or if he's sitting there holding a lane, you understand why because there's a guy behind it. And I think this is just like the first like foundational step of being able to show paintball um, in the eyes of the players and why we're all addicted to the sport and why we're doing the things that we do on the field. Obviously, first step is, put a little bit more effort into where the cameras go and, telling the story of what's going on the field. Maddie can only do so much up in the voice box explaining, oh, this player is looking that way because of this psychology, or
Yeah.
he made a great move and ran this guy down and bunkered him because that guy over there was looking that way. You know what I mean? It's still hard to track in all of that stuff. There's little micro things that help, like, putting the little arrows above all the players where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of them gets killed, and then they all readjust to 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that to explain the game. But to take it a step further, that doesn't take that much effort. You know what I mean? Putting cameras on the barrels, or putting more cameras on the field, on the floor.
Yep.
In addition to the ones that go over the top that are like looking at somebody in the 50 snake, looking at the Doritos, like things like that. Those things, in my opinion, need to happen before anything. Before, we can have Pepsi come in or Monster Energy
Yeah.
and put their banner on the side. Like, they're not going to want to do that watching what we have now. And I'm not talking shit about like our webcast system and stuff like that. It's just like, it's not to the $100 million mark of these companies to where they can just be like, oh yeah, we'll throw $1 million at it and see how
Yeah.
it goes. You know what I mean? Like, we have energy drinks that come in and set up booths, but like that's about it. And they're giving away like free stuff, free
Yeah.
drinks, but it's not somebody, being like, okay, I want the Pepsi logo on all the bunkers and I want the banners across the back because there's so many people watching this. We have to get more people interested in how the game is being broken down. And I don't think we need to change the format, like obviously, yes, the layout, but like, this is what I meant by Marcelo, like, completely changing by putting buzzers in the snake. You got to hit the buzzer and then shoot that guy to get a point or whatever. I don't think it needs to go that far. Maybe it evolves into that into the future.
I hate that so
But like
much.
I mean, whatever you're saying, you're right, but at the same time, I want to just kind of continue the way you said. And I have this conversation with HK guys whenever I do stuff with them, and it's very simple. Whatever we live right now in digital world, and you can see CS:GO. Whenever you see the from kind of
First person.
first person, it just the small camera on your goggle. That's it. Because your gun, whenever you run, you drop your gun and you can see the grass, and you kind of start getting dizzy.
Yeah.
But your eyes always in the field, and if you have camera here or here or here, they'll be helping. And at the same time, I know this might cost a little bit more to bring it into the webcast, but at the same time, people can see and choose player, as you're saying. They can choose. Oh, I want to see what this guy doing. This guy doing. Oh, I want to see how they trade. I want to see how much balls he shot at this guy. Whatever. They'll be like much easier to people understanding what's going on and how we're battling between each other.
Mm.
Because right now we live in digital world, and all the kids are watching like Instagram.
Can
They
you imagine
scrolling.
it? Can you imagine if we did the webcast on Twitch or like any of these other like streaming platforms where all these kids are just watching each other play video games? It's essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree with you. The camera and the goggle is way more preferred. I was just saying with the barrel that's like readily available, you can do that now.
Yeah.
Right, but at the same time, I tried at practice do the drill with the meta glasses, and I
Oh
was
yeah,
Yeah.
like,
really?
all right, that's pretty nice.
It wasn't
But
bad.
yeah, but I mean, you can record only like 30 seconds or 1 minute. That's
Oh yeah.
max.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's the
Okay.
weirdest part. But if you have those like little, I mean, camera on the goggle, I know this is like somebody trying to do already, but I don't know
Hmm.
how far they go with that thing. But at the same time, we are all live with internet.
Yeah.
And you connect all those things together and throw into the webcast. Whenever Mary Marsha said any name, they can like instantly like, oh,
Yeah.
this guy doing this right away. And this has helped him also to explain people what this guy does, because he does phenomenal job with talking and he knows all those
Absolutely.
people by the
Exactly.
names, which is really hard. We have 20 teams, 200 people he have to know by the names,
Yep.
their history and everything. This is like a phenomenal memory what he had.
Exactly.
But at the same time, those small adjustments give him more open space for explaining this guy. All right, this guy doing this. He trade with this guy. You can see he can watch the gap. Nobody shot at him, and you can see and follow by the camera like right away. One click, done.
Yeah.
Right.
And also CS:GO, they using the small map up top of the screen, and you can see how they match up. So Ghost Force doing it a little bit, but at the same
Yeah.
time, the small map on the corner, why
Mhm.
not? Those small
Yeah.
things that like CS:GO showing already on a different level. I know they like spend so much money for internet and digital things,
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but
all got to
that's
be
one of the things what we
production.
need, right?
I think that would be a good idea because like you said, like Matty Marshall is like by far the best narrator for paintball right now because he's been around, he knows the literature, he knows the history and everything under the sun paintball. But if you have that first person view, you have that image matching what Matty's talking about, and it gives a better explanation, and it co-syncs with everything. And I think that would be great. Matt the Gym Rat has got that down pretty good with his content because he'll have like camera mounts on his like mask straps and his mount, and you see the first person. You see his gun come up shooting. You don't see like the gun like digging into the ground or if he falls or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
see his hands crawling. You see him come up into the bunker and everything. It's great content. And if you take that and you put it into the webcast, like you said, and I could type in, let's see what Fedorov is shooting on this time. Boop. Oh
Yeah.
shit, that's
But
awesome.
it's mostly not about like, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like people wants to watch what you're doing, but most of the time people wants to make their own content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If people
Yeah.
will buy in those goggles, they'll be, oh, I'm playing, and they instantly start uploading those stuff like in any social platform.
Yeah.
They'll be like
Yeah,
growing painful as a motherfucker.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
TikTok
sweating.
would go crazy.
Yeah, there was discussions about that. Because the rumors that HK is building a hopper that's got a camera in the nose of it. There's this,
Same thing.
yeah, there's
They'll be teasing.
yeah pointed down, and people were asking, is that something they could use for the broadcast? And the short answer is no, because where a lot of stuff is right now, most of it is post-production equipment. A lot of it is, but we're living in 2025. It cannot be that hard to do this shit. So like Fedorov, you're talking about putting like cameras on goggles, right? And they make these phones so small now. You know what I mean? So
But
they
did you see anytime did you see, sorry for cutting
no,
you,
sorry.
this snowboard goggle
I know what
with
you're
the
talking about,
camera?
but I've never seen the camera itself.
That's a
I've
I've
seen
small
seen
the
it.
camera
feed.
like this.
Yeah,
You can put on a goggle and nothing will be like, I
yeah,
mean, you just have to change the frame, which is like somebody tell me it costs like $300,000, and I 100% know this is less cost than they give me that price.
right.
Yeah.
100% less.
Yeah, I
Which is
guess.
one
Yeah,
time you get to need the form done.
that would be all post-production stuff, like, what you mentioned, because if you wanted it live, then it would have to connect to a Wi-Fi server. It would also have to connect to Bluetooth.
Yeah, that's
You know
where
what
I
I
was.
mean?
That's where I was going.
You would have to have a bigger battery and a bigger memory card. Those snowboard ones that Fed's talking about, like those are tiny, and like, you can rip that memory card out and stick it into your computer and like you got your whole day. But
Yeah,
then, that does take extra money and bandwidth on, say the Go Sports guys or whoever is like molding it. But it's so doable. And that's the reason why we're talking about it right now. I don't think this shit is too far-fetched.
exactly. I
They'll be
don't. I don't think it's
close.
that out
As
of
soon as
reach.
somebody made it, the people will buy it right away.
Yeah,
You might not gonna use an NXL because there's baby rules. You might have to pay for entries with all those things, but as soon as somebody made it, people would love those things like Meta did. Like they just want to make those own content.
yeah,
hmm
But as many people playing in the world with all those things, can you imagine how fast we can grow?
yeah,
Well, even Daniel, like your veteran homies that like go and like play paintball and they play in the woods and like those houses and they do like the whole like military missions and shit like that. Like those guys would put that out on the internet and it'd get eaten up in 2 seconds.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh
You
yeah.
know, and
That's
like
one of the things. Like, as I said before, digital world right now, it just going so fast. If you catch the moment, you can be on the top. If you're not, you always be in below somebody.
right.
Yeah, you'll be
Yeah.
behind. You
If
won't be in. You'll be
if you're not
behind the
doing
curve.
it, somebody else is. You know,
Right.
exactly. Um,
Yep.
I guess we're coming up on our time here, so I hate that's a great conversation. I feel like we could touch on that for a long time, but and I feel like we all share the same sentiment on that. So
Yeah.
maybe we come back to this in the near future because it's great conversation, and these are the conversations that need to happen, from the bottom up to progress our sport. If we want to grow the sport, we can't sit and be complacent with where we're at. You know what I mean? But the people up top also have to be willing to listen to us. So real quick before we get out of here, guys, I have a couple of questions. Daniel has a couple of questions. We were just gonna do kind of like a quick Q&A, just like a quick fire, like what's your favorite color, some shit like that. So, and then we'll get you guys out of here. We'll say our thank yous and blessings and everything. So, I know my wife's down there whipping up some macaroni right now, and we got to go to the grandma's house in a little bit. So, Daniel, do you want to start with your first question, and then we can lead off? You ask one, I ask one, vice versa.
Yeah. Either one of y'all can answer. If you guys had one solid piece of advice to the younger generation coming up that are chasing the pro dream, what would be that advice that you would give them?
Zach, go ahead.
That's such a much better question than what I have written down.
Try not to make it super long-winded, but you know, put your time in, ask for advice, find a mentor. They're everywhere in paintball. If you can make it to any of the major events, definitely go to an event. Go by the infamous booth, talk to any of the pro players there. Like there's several booths to where you can get in contact with these guys, like us down here that have been playing the game forever. And I would say, if you're in school, it's going to be really hard because I went through this while I was turning pro and going through college and whatnot. If paintball is really where you want to invest in, be ready to work. You have to have, another kind of occupation on the side to where you are financially supporting yourself because you don't want to wake up 20 years down the line investing into all of this stuff. And this goes even past paintball, like always be moving around to where, you have your foot in a couple different things. Yes, you can put all your effort into paintball and that's what a lot of these pro guys have done, but I would definitely recommend working hard outside of paintball as well to keep an even balance in your life. Yeah.
Okay. Federov?
I'm not gonna be along that Zach, but I just want to say, whenever if you choose paintball as a sport, don't listen to people who tell you you can't. You just have to go through everything and just cut those people. Go over them. That's it.
Great answer.
Fuck the
Um,
naysayers.
yeah,
Yep.
fuck the
I agree.
naysayers. For me, for each of you guys, what is your most memorable tournament and why?
Almost remember.
Damn.
You didn't tell me it was going to be this hard.
I mean, for me, it would be like Revanche versus Legion 2019
Okay.
because it was super dynamic and it was like back and forth. And for me, it was one of the best matches in my life.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the one that taught me the most lessons was, I don't remember the year, but it was my first pro X Ball event with Aftershock when we played the Russians in the finals. We learned a lot and we got the team to the finals, which had not happened in a long time. It was my first entry into the pro division and we just got our shit stomped in the finals. And that grew so much hunger in me for that to never to get back there and B for that to never happen again. And I think that gave me a lot of drive in moving forward and, kind of where I've gone in this game.
Okay. Daniel?
Fedorov, were you on that team? Or was Art Chaos happening then?
What year?
Uh, it's going to bother me. I'm going to tell you right now. Hold on. How do I not know this? It was... Come on. World Cup 2010.
No, I was in. Hold on, 8, 9. Yes, I was in Legion. Yeah, back
All right.
after. Yeah, I was after Philly. I go back to Russian Legion for 1 year. Yeah, it was Russian Legion.
Yeah, so you
Man,
got
you
your,
put
you got
the
your shit
lollipop on
stomped. That's why we brought you two here together. Y'all could finally settle your differences.
Who's the better 88?
Yeah. Oh, terrible. Daniel, what's your next one?
So this is more or less on for Zach's side on Pro DNA. So I love the YouTube content that Infamous and Pro DNA is putting out. Is that going to be like a standard from here moving out? Because that saved my ass on a lot of downtime when I was in Arizona. Dude, I was like this in my office because like nothing happened for me for like a solid like 2 weeks. So I was just like this, watching like the Infamous playbacks and stuff. So is that like something that y'all are gonna do moving forward for content?
Yeah, we're definitely going to try to. We brought on Danny Quinn, DQ Films, onto the infamous squad. He actually moved up to Detroit, so he's embedded into the headquarters and he's working full time with us. I want to say you're going to get a vlog series, every event and kind of in between the events. We're going to try our best, but we got many products to shoot, many new projects coming. He's on overtime for sure. But we definitely think we have a cool story. We like all the reviews and comments that we've been getting about it. So it's definitely encouraging and side of paintball that we want to show because with the Infamous brand, we kind of have like this black sheep label and whatnot. And Infamous does have a heritage story that needs to be told at some point. So just trying to make it work.
I got you. So damn, Daniel, fuck Fedorov. You didn't have that second question
No,
to have nothing to do with him.
I had a second. Fuck off.
He's like, man, look, man, I'm chilling.
You gotta get a helmet camera, Betty, and then we'll watch it.
I mean, it's summertime right now. After this event, I'll definitely do some stuff on my helmet, start writing things, and go stunned. We'll see.
Damn
No,
right.
So my question for you, Fedorov, was you mentioned earlier in the episode that you were doing stuff with like the younger kids. Or can you go into that? Like, is that something that you really enjoy, helping the younger generation develop?
I mean, yes, I like to do it, but back of the days, I spent a lot of time with the kids. As like you can see, Denis Golev or like Solnishkov, whatever. I grow those kids with the Russian Legion program. But after I left Legion, I started moving like a lot, like around the world, and I don't have that much time. So now with the kind of difficult situation what's going on in the world right now, and as much time I spend in Russia, I mean, I have some of the guys who wants to learn, so I try to help them and do some stuff, but it's not enough time for them, because whenever I go to the tournament, they kind of out of practices. So I have to be in one spot. So I have an idea. So we talked with the guy a little bit about it. So we'll see. Maybe we can do something with Defy in the future.
Right.
In US. So that's how I really kind of I'm excited about it, but I don't know if we can do it or not because as I'm Russian and this is US, so I have to travel back and forth or I have to find the thing and kind of balance it.
Right.
So I have an idea. We just have to make this talk with him and maybe with the owner of the five, with Todd also. And if we find something, then we can balance it. So we might do it.
Nice. That's what I figured because like traveling back and forth between continent to continent, like that's like what is it, like an 18-hour flight, I think, or something like that. It's like a crazy.
Wrong.
More? Is it more?
24.
24 hours. Holy shit.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay, no,
That's how much I love this game.
Yeah.
I
Why
can
would
tell,
you
man.
fly? Why would you fly?
Air Moscow. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, they
wild,
might be
man.
call me Air Moscow for that.
The short bus.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
Urbas was. I tell Todd like a couple times, you have to bring us back, and he tell me, would like to, but it's so much work, so we don't have
Yeah.
that much time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that one.
Yeah.
I was the best.
I'm not flying across the world, but I'm with my lifestyle, man. Time is money for me for sure.
Yeah.
That's true.
Real quick, my next question is favorite marker that you've ever had. So, like Fedorov, you were known for rocking some pink shockers and stuff back in the day. It doesn't have to be a Planet Eclipse gun. I promise y'all, Planet's not going to drop you guys for talking about a Bob Long Intimidator or something. So, your marker is your weapon. It's your tool. So, what is one that sticks out to you guys the most that y'all have played with over the years?
I was gonna say it's SFT Smart Parts.
Yeah. Any specific one, like your pink SFT, that one in particular?
Yeah, it was like the train pink one.
Yeah. I got you.
That was super crazy design, but it's hard to clean up. But I really love it.
Yeah.
What about
Do
you,
you
Zach?
still have it?
Nope.
Oh.
I don't like to collect those things because that's for me is the same thing as the like we always said like on a motorcycle you have tires. So same thing here. It just I
Gotcha.
mean I get this is part of the history, but we have enough things to like our memory with the medals, cups, and everything. So it doesn't
Right.
make sense to me.
I got you. What about you, Zach?
I think do you guys remember when Aftershock went to lime green from the blue?
Yep.
Yep.
We had those the Aftershock I don't think they were SFTs. It was some sort of ego. They
Ego
did
10.
Oh, so you know.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody
Yeah, it was
know
one of
history more than you.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
I wish I would have held on to one of those. One of my semi-pro guns coming up because I had rocked with this gun for like 3 years when I was playing on RNT All Stars with Jerry and Damien and all those guys. I wish I would have never got rid of one of those. I had like a super custom, what were they called? It was a MacDev clone, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Then, but they always have broken screen, right?
Dude, for 3 years, it never broke. It was
Well, I mean, if
fucking
it's not
awesome.
there for insane, it is.
I played CXBL with Randy and all those guys before Heat was Heat with that gun.
Oh,
So
damn.
that
Oh, I
yeah,
don't know that.
yeah, it was before like official Aftershock. But yeah, like those two guns. I wasn't on Infamous yet when they did the Johnny Cash gun. That would have been like a a shelf gun for sure.
Oh,
But
I
yeah.
almost had one last week. I almost had one.
what
Yeah.
are they going for?
This dude was selling his for $1,700, and
God.
it was never fielded. It still has all the bells and whistles that it would new, like the case and
Oh,
everything.
dude.
So I was like, all right. I said,
Yeah.
all right. I crunched some numbers. I was like, because I was on the market for an Infamous CS3, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put that Infamous CS3 on the back burner, and I'm gonna try to get this one instead because I love collecting like markers from back the day. And then before I can message him, that thing was gone like that.
Yeah.
I was
Damn.
like, man.
Yeah, Fedorov, those Russian shockers that you guys did way back in the day were wild. It wasn't like
That's
any
what
of
I'm
the other
saying. That's one
milling.
of my favorite
Yeah.
one. It was based on SFT.
Yeah. Those are
But
sweet.
Smart Parts did like phenomenal job with the body because it was like crazy and wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Daniel, do you have one more? Because we're going to wrap up here shortly. That was my last question.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, so the last thing I wanted to hit before we go.
Hey.
What? What, did I miss something? I was looking down.
No, you're good.
What? Am I missing
No,
something?
no.
Carry on.
Oh,
Carry
what?
on. Carry
I
on.
feel like I'm missing something here.
Just carry on.
Beautiful day.
I'm getting bullied here. Real quick, so we got AC coming up here shortly. I wanted to ask you guys, we have a first event out the way. How do we feel like we're going to be looking for Fedorov, how do you think Tauntauns, and of course Zach, Infamous, how do you guys feel going into this event?
Go ahead, Zach.
I I I feel pretty confident. It's we. I'm trying to remember exactly what I talked about last time I was on here prior to going into Tampa. Um, but I'll just say, I mean, like Infamous is at a really powerful intersection in what's going on with the team right now. We have guys on the team that have won tournaments before. We have younger, hungry guys that haven't. And I think if we, channel that experience with, the hunger of the younger players, that it can be super lethal. Like I can give a million examples of, the most recent times, like over the past 3 years. You have the dynasty era, and then how Russians did really well last year, and now you're seeing PB Fit have success. I think we have very integral pieces of that. With the dynasty guys, like those guys have been playing forever. They had great chemistry. They know how to win together, which is extremely important. They have the experience of those Sunday grinder games. And with Russians, they have a very dynamic way that they play, and especially how they did it last year. Like they like to control the tempo, they like to play a lot of points, they like to dictate the game, and I think our guys have experience in doing that. And then the third example is PB Fit. Everybody knows those guys play together all the time, and everybody highlights their success to playing together those 4 or 5 days a week, and keeping their core together, not getting picked apart, those guys being committed to, the program, buying into the overall goal. And I think Infamous has a really good combination of all of those aspects that are going to bloom very, very soon. I'm super confident in it. And I can assume, Fedorov like has the same feel with, guys that have been there before that have won, and then, the younger guys that are super hungry to do that. If you combine all of those and optimize it perfectly, like that is extremely lethal. So yeah, I mean, going into the tournament, our preparation is going to be taken super seriously. The guys are going to work hard and really capitalize on what we have, because we believe we have something special that we haven't had in a while.
Good deal. What's you, Fedorov?
I mean, from my side right now, I just want to say that right now we have to find out the style of Tauntauns in NXL.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing that we have to find out. It's not like European paintball right now, and it's way different level than we have 2 years ago.
Right.
Right now, you can see at least like first 10, they can beat each other right away. It's not like first four always being on top. Right now, you can see all 10 those teams will be lethal. So in that case, I would rather to take a long term and find out with Tauntauns the right way to continue and to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, at any point, like we can win or whatever, we just have to be like not to be. We just have to find our style.
Right.
As soon as we find this style, we have to go through those things because you can't build great team right away. You have to go through all the bad things together, as I'm saying before.
Yeah.
So that's why right now, in my point, like I was thinking about long terms, and if we find the small things this event, that'll be great. If we find more things at practice before event, there'll be way more benefit for us.
Right. Okay.
So that's pretty much just it.
I got you. Daniel, you have anything before we get out of here?
Negative.
Negative. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. Fedorov, thanks for hopping on with us so
Thank you,
late at
guys.
night. Zach, thank you for setting all this up. Like I said earlier, you were the architect of the whole episode 88, so it was his idea from the start. We can't say how much we appreciate you guys enough. We enjoy talking with you guys. We enjoy watching you play, and just all around. We're fans of the game. You know what I mean? That's just what it boils down to, That's why we're here. This is how we do our part, our small part, and growing the sport. We try to get these stories out and these conversations out. So it just means the world to us that y'all contribute to that. For us to build this little platform that we have.
Oh yeah, man. Any way I can help, I'm down.
Good.
Yep.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
guys. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all so much. Well, that has been 88. I'm sorry for the people that listen that this came out a week late, but just the world is crazy. Everybody's got crazy schedules going on right now, so I'm so glad that it worked out.
Yeah, same here.
Sounds good.
Cool. Appreciate it,
Peace.
boys. Thank you.
All right, guys. Peace out.
See y'all.
Later, man.